So are Bert and Ernie the couple we always thought they were? Welcome back to What's Trending. I'm Candace Carrizales. Subscribe for more social media news every day. For quite a while, many fans and viewers of Sesame Street have speculated that Bert and Ernie are a couple. They live together, sleep in the same room, and hey, they'd be a cool couple. In recent years, fans of the show have hoped that Sesame Street would announce that Bert and Ernie are a couple or that Bert and Ernie would get married. There have even been Change.org petitions asking for this, with many signatures over the years. And as always, there were people that felt differently. And some people have always saw the puppet pair as friends.
I have nothing against same-sex marriage, but when I was growing up, watching Bert and Ernie, I always saw them as brothers.
Sesame Street responded to the petitions with this statement. Bert and Ernie are best friends. They were created to teach preschoolers that people can be good friends with those who are very different from themselves. Even though they are identified as male characters and possess many human traits and characteristics, they remain puppets and do not have a sexual orientation. And over the years, Sesame Street has responded to the question many times. Bert and Ernie's relationship was even mentioned on TMZ a few years ago.
Sesame Street producers are the ones that created him, and they say they're not gay, so...
But didn't Bert like tweet something a long time ago, a couple of months ago?
And in 2013, the cover of The New Yorker depicted Bert and Ernie as a gay couple. Now, it's been quite a while since there's actually been talk about Bert and Ernie, but that all changed this week. The website Queerty did a profile interview about Mark Saltzman, who was a writer for Sesame Street in the 80s. In the article, Queerty asks Mark, okay, so we have to address, that's the big question, right? In the writer's room, you're all adults. Were you thinking of Bert and Ernie as a gay couple? Did that question ever come up? Mark says, I always felt that without a huge agenda, when I was writing Bert and Ernie, they were. I didn't have any other way to contextualize them. The other thing was, more than one person referred to Arnie and I as Bert and Ernie. Arnie was Mark's life partner who he had been with when he started writing on Sesame Street. Mark even says that Bert and Ernie's characters had a very similar dynamic to what Mark and Arnie's relationship had in real life. Mark also said, yeah, I was Ernie. I look more Bertish, and Arnie, as a film editor, if you thought of Bert with a job in the world, wouldn't that be perfect? Bert with his paper clips and organization, and I was the jokester. So it was the Bert and Ernie relationship, and I was already with Arnie when I came to Sesame Street. So I don't think I'd know how else to write them, but as a loving couple. I wrote sketches. Arnie's OCD would create friction with how chaotic I was, and that's the Bert and Ernie dynamic. So there's your answer. But of course, since the buzz of this article, Sesame Street came out with another statement. It's very similar to their many other statements. I think they just copied and pasted this one. As we have always said, Bert and Ernie are best friends. They were created to teach preschoolers that people can be good friends with those who are very different from themselves. Even though they are identified as male characters and possess many human traits and characteristics, they remain puppets and do not have a sexual orientation. Yes, that is pretty much the same quote I said earlier in the video. So there you have it. That's the Bert and Ernie story. Thanks for watching What's Trending. You can subscribe for more social media news every day.